A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When they had departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him." Joseph rose and took the child and his mother by the night and departed for Egypt. He stayed there until the death of Herod, that what the Lord had said through the prophet might be fulfilled. "Out of Egypt I called my son." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. A spiritual writer once commented that he used to be resentful whenever he was interrupted in his work until he realized that oftentimes interruptions were his real work. I think this is true of all of us. We are often resentful when our plans are interrupted. Sometimes these interruptions are minor, an unexpected phone call while we're working or watching TV, and sometimes they're major, an unplanned pregnancy that interrupts a woman's career, a situation in a family that prevents us from pursuing a dream, or a serious illness or cancer detected puts everything on hold. Countless things, big and small, constantly change our agendas and sabotage our dreams. We become resentful and think to ourselves, if only this hadn't happened. Now I'm going to have to wait 2 months to resume my career. Now I'll never have a chance to fulfill my dream. I've heard people who, at the midway point in their lives, express deep resentment because they felt they had wasted half their lives being victims of circumstance and the demands of the others. And now they've lost the chance to what they really wanted. But the opposite is also true. Sometimes instead of resentment, there's gratitude, because we realize that the interruptions, so unwelcomed at the time, were really salvific, and far from altering our real agenda, were our real agenda. Instead of being a burden, it became a moment of grace. Let me give you a few examples. I know a couple whose unplanned pregnancy suddenly turned all their plans upside down. Initially, they were disappointed, even angry. But later on, this unwanted interruption turned into such a wanted and loved child who helped create a happiness that was above and beyond dwarfed anything that might have resulted had their original plans not been derailed by this interruption. Or imagine this scene from the gospel that we heard. Joseph wakes up in the middle of the night, having had a dream in which an angel tells him to head to Egypt immediately. He wakes up Mary and announces, "We've got to go. Pack up the baby and let's leave quietly." Undoubtedly, Mary must have had a few concerns. But whatever she may have initially thought, the fact remains Mary was willing to change her plans. She understood that being able to adapt at the most unexpected moments is often what really saves your life. C.S. Lewis, the great spiritual writer and teacher, during his most productive years, was constantly interrupted by the demands of his adopted mother, who made him do all the shopping and housework and demanded hours of his time daily for domestic tasks. And rather than being resentful about these interruptions, he was grateful and believed that it was precisely these domestic demands that kept him in touch with life and instilled in him an empathy for everyday human conditions. So, as I said before, what initially is experienced as an unwanted interruption can, in the end, be our real agenda. It's good to look for the hand of God in our interruptions. As baptized Christians, we must expect derailment. To submit to love is to be baptized, namely, to let our lives be forever interrupted. To not let our lives be interrupted is to say no to love. You know, one of the messages Mary brings to the world in her appearances at such places as Lourdes and Fatima and Medjugorje is that we always be open to the mystery of God's love, that we be willing to change. She says, pray, pray, so that you will change. Mary trusted and hoped that God would always bring good news out of the unexpected interruptions in her life. Although she didn't know the future, she did know God. Can we say the same thing?